And thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. I appreciate it very much. You've heard from a lot of good folks, and I would tell you, just to start off with, I think one of the key roles of being in the Senate is being able to work with the House members to effect positive change for our area here in Southwest Missouri. And I can work with all of these folks. A little bit of background. I grew up in Northeast Missouri, a small community. We're in the farm equipment business. Along the way, I got a job in a local newspaper. And from there, I went on to college, where I met my lovely wife, Marge, of nearly 36 years now. And we had the opportunity, after a little bit of a career, to be back in Muncie, Indiana. That's where Ball State University was located. And in Muncie, Indiana, at that time, it was very automotive related. And in the early 80s, the automotive industry caved in. And I was in the news business, but I looked around and we had 22% unemployment. 22%. That's almost unfathomable today because we have such a great, robust economy, not only nationally, but right here in Southwest Missouri. But there are a lot of people hurting, and a lot of people that were struggling to keep their families together because they didn't have jobs. And I was offered the opportunity to go into the chamber business to do economic development. That's a very broad term, and at that point in time, it meant just trying to attract new companies to the area to fill in the gaps. That's how I got started in the chamber business about 34 years ago. Felt compelled to make sure there were good jobs. We talk about business, and people say, oh, well, you know, as a chamber guy, you're kind of a business guy. And yes, I've worked with small businesses, I've worked with startup businesses, I've worked with local companies on expansions, worked to attract business, but it's always been about those jobs. Because if people have good jobs, they can take care of themselves, they can take care of their families, and they can invest in their communities, and they can support their schools. And those are critical things for all of us to be happy and successful. So why are we here in Southwest Missouri? We love this area. I think we all love this area. When we came here 23 years ago with our daughter Tony, who was 5 years old, and he's now 28, and back in Joplin, after going off to see the big city lights and deciding that really is better off here, we had the opportunities along the way, as you do when you're in that kind of business, in our business, chamber business, that people come along and say, why don't you go to a bigger chamber? Why don't you come to our community instead? And we talk about that from time to time, but really at the end of the day, we said, we don't want to go. We love the people here, we love the families here, we love the lifestyle here, we like our schools and our church, and we like what's going on here and how people band together to help each other all of the time. And so we made a conscious choice to still be here. My passion, and this is the one instance where Raleigh always gets to say, you take my comments because I follow you, and so this time I have to follow him. But it's very similar. It is about creating jobs, good jobs for good people. But along the way, we also have to have good education. We have to have a very strong education system to make sure that our children and our grandchildren have the education and the skills necessary to get those good jobs that we all strive to bring here. And the world is changing, and we need to change with it and make sure we have that strong education. I will tell you I'm a big supporter of public education from K through university, but also recognize that we need to have choice in that. For some families, public education doesn't work. Sometimes it's homeschooling, sometimes it's private schools. We need to make sure we support those as well to make sure those children also have the educational opportunities and can have those good jobs. I am very committed to sanctity of life. And I say it in that phrase because it is broader. You know, I am pro-life. I believe strongly that life begins at conception and we need to protect it. But that's the start of life. And we need to make sure that we take care of our most vulnerable citizens all the way to the end. All the way to the senior citizens. It's very important. We need to make sure that we take care of ourselves as a society because we're friends and we're neighbors. Second Amendment rights, absolutely. Lane Roberts said it as well as anybody else that I know. That's a constitutional guarantee. That's our right. It's in the Constitution. And part of having a Second Amendment right is to protect that First Amendment right to freedom of speech, where we get to talk to our government officials, we get to talk to people in power and tell them what we want as citizens. And so that brings me to my promise to you, which is we're not ever going to agree on everything. Baskin Robbins has 31 flavors of ice cream just because of that. But here's what we can do. We can talk to each other. We can discuss solutions. We can find ways to move ahead so our families are better, our kids have better opportunities, we have better education, and we will find solutions together. I will promise you my phone will always be answered. Back there on the table, you'll see our little cards, and there is a phone number on there. It's our house phone. If nobody answers the house phone, it comes directly to me. In Jefferson City, I'll make sure that we always have the discussion about what's good for Southwest Missouri, what's good for the 200,000 people who live down here in the 32nd District, and then find a way to make this area better by making the state better. I appreciate your time this evening. I look forward to talking to all of you and appreciate the opportunity. Again, just call anytime. God bless you all. Get out on August 2nd. 7th. Now I'm starting to talk like Robert Stokes talks. Get out on August 7th. I look forward to burning your vote and appreciate your consideration. God bless you all. Thank you very much.